Welcome, Amakhosi Network. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be chatting about the win that Kaizer Chiefs got over Sundowns, where we robbed them an offside goal, but that's Nandaba, and how it came about and what we think of certain players' performances. So we're going to do those ratings. But before we get into that, please like, comment, and subscribe. But let me get to this point of this video. I have been realizing that there are certain fans out there who, when you decide to criticize Nabi or criticize players, they automatically deem you not to be someone who deserves to be known as a Kaizer Chiefs supporter. And I've often said this. For me to making this channel, I give my opinion about Chiefs. There will be days where I give positive opinions. There will be days where I give negative opinions. There will be days where I just analyze a game for a game. There will be days I'm emotional. There will be days I'm not emotional. But at the same time, I wanted to be clear that not everyone has the same vision for Kaizer Chiefs. Meaning, there are players that some of you guys out there want for Kaizer Chiefs, and I don't agree with those players. For example, there are people who want Mkhulisi at Chiefs. There are people who want Nduli from Stellenbosch at Chiefs. But I don't want those players. And that is my opinion. Am I a scout? Am I a coach? No. But when I'm making this decision, I am also going to say at the same time, if Chiefs does sign those players, I'll support that player, but I'm not going to support that player blindly. Meaning that if that player is doing bad, I'm not going to go on social medias and act like that player is Ujeso and I'm going to support him. I'll criticize him. But every time he's named in a starting lineup, like now in this weekend when Umat and Cross started, I give them the benefit of the doubt every time they put the Kaizer Chiefs shirt, even if I don't like them as players for my team. And that is what I always do. Same goes for Nabi. Every time he plays a game for Chiefs, I always give him the benefit of the doubt. But when he makes mistakes or when he does things that I question, I will criticize him. And that is the point I want to make today. Me criticizing a person or criticizing a coach does not mean I'm not supporting that coach. It just means if you're doing nonsense, I will call out that nonsense. If you're doing great, I will praise you because this is football. We at Kaizer Chiefs can change a player and a coach's life. If a coach and a player do so well at Chiefs, they can get presidential, even God status. That's how much love they'll feel by doing well. But if you do bad, the same will apply, but it will look like the opposite. You will feel our pressure. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there tends to be an idea that goes out into the public that when you criticize Nabi, you are against Nabi. And a lot of people who are watching this game were like, yeah, you guys who criticize Nabi, what is the difference between yesterday's game and the other games? And it's simple. The difference between us playing Richards Bay, Golden Arrows, and all these teams is a very simple one. Richards Bay, Golden Arrows, all these teams don't play with the ball. They play out with no possession. They would rather give Chiefs the ball and hit Chiefs on counters. That is how they play. And the moment they give Chiefs the ball, we always cry about one thing. It's Chiefs high line when Chiefs has possession. And that's how we keep conceding goals because they keep hitting our high line and they score goals. Yesterday, did we have a high line problem? Did anyone go on social media or anywhere and complain about a high line? No. No one complained about a high line yesterday. Why? Because we played the game that Richards Bay, Golden Arrows, and all these other teams play, which is give Sundowns the ball. Don't let them get close to your box. And then when you get the ball, you hit them on counters, either on their mistakes or if you do a quick counter and you score. And that is the difference between this game and other games that Chiefs has played. The difference is that when Chiefs was playing yesterday, we were playing a game that was very defensive, meaning that our defensive game was more emphasized than our attacking game. Our attacking game was based on the mistakes that Sundowns would make, and we would catch them on quick counters. It wasn't a matter of we were creating chances. It was a matter of we were picking up the mistakes that Sundowns were making. We didn't just take the ball from the back, create it, and go to phases and then end up in their box. It wasn't our game. Today's game was about when we do have possession, we try to get it progressing up the field, but at the same time, we stay compact. So sometimes I don't understand how people don't realize that when you play Sundowns, you will play a very defensive game, because I'll argue with you guys I'll argue this. Let's just argue if Chiefs decided to take this approach against every other team in the PSL, even the weak teams, give them the ball, let's not play with the ball, give them the ball. Do you think we would have 10 losses in the league now? We would not have 10 losses, because our game would be speaking more to our defensive game, because we would be pushing on defending more than we are pushing on what? Attacking. And then we would hit a lot of teams on counters. We have fast players. And what is the other point that I want to emphasize on this game? The point is this. The point is that the players that are currently at Chiefs, before they joined Chiefs, they were playing for teams that played that exact football. So they know how to play counter football versus a possession game football. When you are a team that plays possession game football, it will expose how talented you are. So that's the thing I'm going to say. But in terms of the game yesterday, that basically sums up the game plan Nabi and them took. In terms of Sundowns, where I think they got it wrong, is Miguel Cardoso tried to play Chiefs too much as if he's playing his Champions League teams or whoever in Africa is playing, Abo Al Ahly, I don't know. He tried to be too controlling of the game. He would have won the game had he put his best attackers in the game. The game where the period where Sundowns was really terrorizing the league, it was when it was Reyners and Tashreeq Morris and even now that Adams is there, if Adams was there, it was even going to be better. If they just went on an all-out attack, they were going to expose Chiefs. Because they were going to have about Tashreeq Morris, they were going to have about Reyners, they were going to have Ribeiro, they were going to have Adams, etc. And they were going to win the game, possibly, because it's still, Chiefs had a very good structure. But they would have at least had more chances at goal. Let me say that. They would have at least had more chances at goal. But they decided to play Reyners and Shalulile. And for us, that tends to work out a bit better, because Reyners is not creative. So he's not going to create anything. And Shalulile depends on other players' creativity. So if we starve the creative players in terms of ball or balls where they can actually be creative, then it kind of nullifies the use of Shalulile. Shalulile yesterday was a passenger in the game. Reyners only had one good chance, but he was also a passenger just because of how our defense nullified them, because their midfield was not a playing midfield. It was more a transition midfield, which is a tactic Miguel uses. When Miguel wants quick goals, he plays Reyners and Shalulile, and then they play a lot of long balls and all of those things. But when Reyners wants to play a possession game, he actually brings Sales in, which is what he did in the previous game when he was playing whoever that Esperance. Esperance started the first half with Sales because he believed that Sales would help them contain Esperance more with a possession game, meaning let's hold on to the ball, let them chase, get tired. Second half, we throw in Reyners when they are tired, when they are trying to get a quick win, and we try score, like press them back with a fast player. That is what he tried to do. But let me give quick ratings. Vuma, good save for Reyners, but bad save in terms of Teboho Mokoena. Other than that, he didn't really have much threat at goal. So Vuma, I'm going to give him a 6 because, yeah, he did well and he did bad, but still 6. Cross, I am going to give a 7. He really defended Ribeiro well. he chased Ribeiro from left back to right back at some point. That is how much Cross was working. Cross never gave up on. Ribeiro was like, if you are looking for Ribeiro today, you'll probably find him in Cross's back pocket, because that's where Ribeiro was living yesterday. But anyway, so Edmilson Dove, good and bad. He messed up and he didn't mess up. And he did well in phases. So 6 to 6.5. Simango did well in his game. So 6.5. I'm just not giving him a 7 because I think Cross actually really performed well. Solomon's same 6.5. Thabo Tele, 6.5 to 7. Matt, I'm going to give a 7. Also had a solid performance. We know he's not good in passing the ball and stuff, but there were moments where when he had the ball, he just passed someone who he felt could do better with the ball. And it didn't always end up with the great results, because he would not always pass the most creative at times. And it would be moments where you would expect him to be more composed, to turn and run with the ball, or turn and find a forward pass, and it would have taken pressure away from the midfield. So he didn't always do that, but at times, you know what, it was one of those things where you'll take it, because you just wanted him for his defensive attributes. Cirino, a solid 6.5 performance. Someone would even argue 7, because they really got under the skin of Sundowns, and they were really struggling with. They were losing their patience with him, and they were fouling him, but it was working in our favor, because Sundowns got to a point where they were battling the emotions of the game rather than playing the game. And that is one thing I feel Sundowns has lost under Cardoso, is that Sundowns is very easily emotional because they don't dominate the game. The games that Sundowns are playing are very 50-50 sometimes, and that is not the same. Rulani's team would dismantle your spirit. Let me put it to you this way. Rulani's team would be playing so well that they would break you, even at 0-0. They would break your spirit. They would break your idea of thinking there's a way. They would literally break you as a player sometimes. They would break you as a team. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes they would be outplaying you, moving past you. They would be moving and shifting you to a point where you would ask yourself, Guti, Buffett, how did I end up at right back when I'm a striker? It's like ngijime nalabantu ngijimise ibhola ngiji sengila ku right back, and the right back say ku left back. So that's how sometimes that dominance Sundowns used to have, which is a good thing for us. I said at the beginning of the season that Sundowns will beat some people a lot of the big score, and they will still lose. Well, that was under Manqoba Nciti, but under Cardoso, the one positive I'll say for Sundowns under Cardoso is that Cardoso is playing Champions League football. So don't be surprised if they win the Champions League, because it's the football they're playing. They're playing Champions League football. They even treating their final PSL and like final games as almost like a warm-up to Champions League, because they're playing very Champions League football. Even the fouls that Allende and Teboho Mokoena are doing, you must just keep track of it. Halfway line, you don't pass the halfway line when Teboho Mokoena and Allende are there. They'll foul you, Baba. They'll foul you. All of these players, they know. You don't just enter Sundowns' half willy-nilly. They Champions League football you, Baba. They don't foul you in an obvious way, like a slide tackle or what. They do things that the ref is even going to feel like, this one's difficult to give a yellow card. Like they foul you in a way where you like, he's too far from the pole, so I'm not good. They break your move before your move begins, and the ref, when he views it, he doesn't feel that there was much advantage in the play. But Sundowns knows that had you reached the second phase of that move, If they fouled you in the second phase of that move, then the seriousness of that foul starts to show. And that's why I say Sereno was playing under their skin, because yesterday they actually started doing things that are uncharacteristic to Sundowns, in that they were fouling Chiefs in the second phase. They were getting yellow cards because they were doing things in the second phase, but it's because Chiefs was getting under their skin. Anyway, Duba, 8 out of 10. He sparked the comeback. He never gave up. He was the one. Lollipop, 4. Not good enough. Subs did well, Mtetwa and them, but I'm not going to give them ratings because they came in a bit later. But other than that, it was a good performance from Chiefs. Amakhosi for life.